So today we are going to discuss about the classification of the semiconductors. Although we have discussed in the last class about the extrinsic semiconductors, so I want to tell you one more classification. So let's start with this classification. Classification of semiconductors. So one more classification is there, that is direct band gap semiconductor and indirect band gap semiconductor. So what is this direct band gap and indirect band gap? Let me write here direct band gap semiconductors and indirect band gap semiconductors. Now let me take an example over here. As you can see, a normal diode, which is I guess you all have seen a very small diode like this. The symbol of a diode is this one, and it is around like it, and there is a strip over here, and rest of the thing is black in this diode, and there is one light emitting diode, right? You all have seen this LED. So there is some circuitry inside it, and it emits light. So there are two types of diode. One is this one and one is this one, or simply if I say that one is capable of emitting the light whereas other is not capable of emitting the light. We will discuss this diode later, but just to discuss this classification I want to introduce this concept. So the point is that why one diode is not emitting the light whereas other diode is emitting the light. So the reason over here is this one, that is they are made of different materials. One is the direct band gap semiconductor. Direct band gap semiconductors are those semiconductors in which when the electrons are excited from the valence band to the conduction band, and when they will come back they will emit the light, or you can say here the 99% of the energy is emitted in the form of light, whereas 1% is emitted in the form of heat. Definitely we have seen that whenever the electrons are excited to a higher state, after some time they come back to their lower state, right? You all know this thing. So it means when we provide excitation to some materials in which when the electrons got excited and when they come back from there they need to lose some energy. So during this energy, during the loss of this energy, they need to either emit the light or the heat, because we know that we have an electromagnetic spectrum. We all have studied this electromagnetic spectrum. So in that electromagnetic spectrum you have seen that there are various ranges or various rays: x-rays, gamma rays, visible region, ultraviolet, infrared, cosmic, gamma rays. All these rays are nothing but they are arranged in this electromagnetic spectrum with different frequencies, or sometimes we can also quote them in the increasing form of the frequency or the decreasing form of the frequency. So my point over here is to discuss that all these arrays are constituting of some frequencies. It means when we have the light in the visible region, it also constitutes some frequency range. Let me guess, it is from f1 to f2. And then we have f infrared. This is IR, this is visible one, then that is from f2 to f3. It means when this energy is emitted, and we know the formula of energy is equal to E is equal to h nu, where h is the Planck's constant and nu is the frequency. It means every energy will correspond to some frequency, because h, Planck's constant, is a constant term, 6.634 times per minus 34. So this is not going to affect. Only what is going to be affected is the frequency range in which it is falling. It means as we are having the different materials, due to the different materials we can say that their band gap energy is also different. Band gap energy is different. Due to this different band gap energy, what is going to happen in every material, the level of the electron that is attained in the conduction band will be different, or simply the energy gained by that electron in the conduction band will be different. And when they will fall from that level, they may fall in this visible region. If they fall in this visible region, we call them as direct band gap semiconductors, because they are going to emit 99%, in this case is the light, and 1% is an exception, that is in the form of heat. And second, if they emit light in this infrared region, then definitely 99% of their energy will be emitted in the form of heat, which we have seen in the case of normal diodes, whereas in the case of light emitting diode it is consisting of direct band gap semiconductors, right? So let us see what are the different elements which are in there in the direct band gap semiconductors. So if I go to these examples, so in the first one I can say there is one gallium arsenide. So gallium is the third group element and arsenide is a fifth group element. Right? This is the best example. Mostly in most of the cases we use these materials for the direct band gap. Although there are other examples also like gallium nitrate, then Ga gallium antimony, then indium phosphide, then indium arsenic, and many more. And in the other side, if we see about this indirect band gap semiconductors, most of us we know that is it maybe aluminum phosphide, that is aluminum antimony, then aluminum Sb, then we have the most common which we have studied earlier also, that is germanium and silicon. So these two were already discussed in the last lecture when I have explained you about the intrinsic semiconductor, right? So in this case, now if somebody will ask you that why LED emits light, the only reason is that their band gap energy is in such a way that when they lose energy, electrons lose energy from the connection to the valence band, it lie in the visible region.